So we are just now about 15 miles south, or, from the border. We actually ended up going mostly east towards Laredo until Highway 2 turns south, and you take that south. But there's some interesting stuff going on the roadsides, so I decided to start rolling again.
Rolling video? You mean?
Rolling video. Yeah, I decided to start rolling video again. But so the Columbia border crossing is not very busy. It's a smaller crossing, and I like it for that reason. So there was only one other car there during that time that had U.S. plates on it, and it did take us a couple hours to get through. It took us 2 hours, so in 2 hours, 2 U.S. plated vehicles that's probably about average, I would say, for how much goes through there. And we happened to pull off on the shoulder before we left the little complex there, and that turned out to be a very good idea, because the other U.S. plated car passed us and left the complex before we did, and just a couple miles outside of the complex they were pulled over by the cops. And I'm sure that was because of the U.S. plated car, because he was Mexican. He is Mexican national. So they pulled him over simply because of the license plate on his vehicle. And we rolled right by because they were busy with him. So tip number 1. I'm going to keep track of these. Tip number 1.
Don't be the gringo. Be the guy behind the gringo.
There you go. TM. Mike says he's trademarking that one.
That's it. That's mine. Can't have it. But you can live by it.
So you can see here the roads. These are some of the more questionable roads that you'll have is right around the Laredo area, and it's obvious why. There's just tons of truck traffic here. This is the main commercial border crossing.
In some ways, this is a pretty nice road, but it's pretty beat up because of the trucks.
That sign on the right was obviously a speed limit sign. It's a red circle with your kilometers per hour.
But some of the faster
limit.
kilometers per hour you'll see too. That's almost 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, that one said 110 kilometers per hour. The second interesting thing that's been happening on the shoulder is we've seen at least one vehicle pulled over, kind of hidden behind a shack, with somebody standing out talking on a walkie-talkie. So they kind of hide behind, the building or the obstruction or whatever, so you don't really see them standing there talking on the walkie-talkie. So there's definitely some communication happening about what cars are passing. And so the more interesting you look, the more they'll notice. Yeah, the more interest people will take, yes. And like we said, we came down with the boat last time, and it's an old boat. It's not that fancy, and it isn't worth that much in the States, but it draws attention.
Any catamaran hull boat looks like you must be worth $1 million here in Mexico, and it is a cat hull boat. And but it's old enough and beat up enough that that's almost exclusively where the value comes from, because it's not a nice boat. Ran out of money to pave that.
Yeah, many years ago.
That concrete wasn't that ruined though. That's a transition there.
Anyway, we definitely got a lot of attention last time with the boat. It was an attention grabber. We tried not to sit too long in any one place. Each night we stayed in a hotel that had an enclosed or gated parking area, you know, just so that it wasn't obvious from the roadway. And I think we're gonna have less trouble this time in that regard. We're less conspicuous with just a plain enclosed trailer.
Yeah, plenty though still.
Yeah, the Texas plates, I think, are going to be the thing that really draws the attention now, especially the further south we get. So that's the Georgia plates. That's the gentleman that we went through the border at the same time. Looks like they let him go and he's rolling again.